thing working?
I trust it.
No, I didn't. Is this thing going? Alright, cool. We're going. So I was taking a look at what's going on Donald Trump's live feed on Twitter. And not impressed. So, just mind you, whether it's just ostensible or whether they really have a problem with him, the Jews are complaining about Trump constantly. And even though, Bush Jr. did everything they wanted, they constantly complained about him because it was, something that white people liked. It was close to what white people wanted, close to what white people liked. And so I'm looking at the amount of censorship that must go into this, because it's not just the tweets they delete now and stuff, and the tweets that they shadow ban that are going on to his responses. It's also all of the people that aren't posting because they've been banned from Twitter so many times and they're sick of setting up new accounts. So, you've got the meme going here calling him a fascist, a Stalinist, etc., etc. And it just so that's what the people that watch MSNBC and stuff are gonna be reading, and then they're complaining about fake news, basically non-Jewish approved news. They're complaining that Donald Trump's still in the news cycle. Them complaining about memes. So, hold on, what happened to the QAnon stuff? Damn it. I wanted to comment on the QAnon stuff. Here it is. So what's pushed to the top is shitlibs complaining that memes and meme culture influence stuff, complaining that, candidates have been able to get around the media blackouts on coverage, and just this type of shit, which is like the top narrative they wanted to see. So, and then, one of the top things, and I'm sure this is some Jew, QAnon. This stuff, just coded stuff, somebody's coming to help you, there's a hero coming, decide for yourself, be strong in your beliefs, all this, just, look at this, this is this is exactly like John Galt and Atlas Shrugged, it's just, who is QAnon? Well, it's just like the author of Atlas Shrugs, it's a Jew, and then referring, of course, to the name-changing Jew who changed her name to Ayn Rand. QAnon, this is the invention of a Jew. No questions asked. No question about it. Look at this. No mention to white people. Just like, we're gonna get the truth out. And, free thinkers and objectivists are going to fix everything. This is literally like that piece of shit book and movie that I've seen at the Dollar Tree now. Atlas Shrugged? The movie is now at Dollar Tree. I saw it. They can't even give it away for $1. I bought one. I need to find it. I think it's in storage. I was going to burn it. I'm not sure if it's legal in California to burn plastic, though. Look at this. Patriotism and national pride. Attachment to a homeland and an alliance with other citizens. Look at this shit. This is what's left. This is what the people that still support Trump are clinging on to. Some sort of hope that there's a deep, deep state that if they're not woke to the Jews, they think there's some deeper, deep state that's going to come and save everything. And this is laughable. Is this what the Trump 2020 election is going to be? I'm running as a Republican because I don't think Trump is running for re-election. I don't think it's serious. I think it's going to be me against John Kasich or something, but I honestly do not think Trump is seeking re-election. I do not think that he's seeking re-election. And so, look at this. It's all Q. The only thing that the Trump campaign has left is to prop up this Q shit. This is the top of this is the top of the responses to his stuff. I mean, just think about that. A lot of you are black-pilled. A lot of you are thinking, you know, what are we going to do? Trump sold us out to Israel. Well, he told us the whole time he was going to put Israel first and be the best president for Israel ever. I mean, what did we expect? And Trump ostensibly was going to get us some domestic agenda stuff that we wanted in exchange for continuing to do whatever Israel wanted with foreign policy, minus foreign troop involvements, which we have gotten into the foreign entanglements, although I do think Trump, to his credit, has kept us, for the most part, out, keeping our troops from being directly involved in the Middle East. That's, I'll give him credit. I think if we had Hillary Clinton, there would be troops on the ground in Iran or Syria. I'll give him that. But the bad thing here is the pressure release. White people were about to explode. When Trump took office in January, people were ready for doors to get kicked down, for ICE to deport the 30 million illegals that are in this country. People were ready, just to say it's okay to be white and all this stuff, and it's just been dashed like a bag of kittens in a bag being smashed against a brick wall. The hopes and dreams of the real Americans that have families going back here for a long time, people that have had working families, military families. I mean, I'm 3 generations deep at least military. I've got, I come from a long line of working class taxpayers and dirt farmers and people who served in the military during wartime. And we all got our hopes up. We went out, and I went to Trump events, and I was there to fight off Antifa. I thought I was going to be a superhero fighting off Antifa when they tried to attack the Trump rally in San Mateo. And just this shit with him just allowing the Jews to run roughshod over every aspect of our society still. I mean, not even a single concession. We don't have a wall. We don't have anything. All we've got left of the Trump primary campaign, the Trump presidential campaign that he ran on, is QAnon with vague promises that everything's going to be okay. And let's get back to the analysis of the top responses to Trump's tweets here. It's look at this. They're trying to make it into an argument about socialism. They're trying to get us to talk about everything, except there's not a single mention anywhere of white people here, unless it's a Jew or some useful idiot saying that Trump's the new Himmler or Goebbels or whatever. There's no mention of white people. Where the hell are the white people asking, what are we going to get? What about the shit you promised us? Where are the white people asking for Trump to live up to his promises that he made to white people? Where is that? Why am I not seeing this on his Twitter feed? I don't know. I don't even know what to make of this anymore. Why aren't there people on Trump's Twitter feed saying, why are white people still getting fucked? Why are there white people going to jail for criticizing Jews? Why are you not doing anything when Jews won't let white people have free speech? This guy is not doing a good job. And I'm not seeing anyone really directing their energy into trying to hold him accountable. All I see is people, doing gang memes and, black pill stuff. I mean, Murdoch had a great episode where Dr. Murdoch wanted to get off the Trump train, and it was hilarious. They had Trump was a sock puppet on Kushner's hand that kept on asking for juju cum. I liked that. That was good. But this is a joke. Look at this. The social media is now completely controlled. Where is there a single white person, at least even dog whistling about white interests here? It's not happening. It's not allowed to be part of the discussion. This is not a real Twitter wall. This is not what his supporters would want to say. This is nothing. I don't even... look at this. So, here's someone pretending to be an ostensible Trump supporter, or former one, that's upset about what they didn't get out of Trump. And what are they upset about? He didn't defeat ISIS quick enough. We didn't get better health care. Trump took a vacation. We didn't get infrastructure rebuilt. Social Security, Medicare haven't been touched. I mean, Mexico will pay for the wall and negotiate lower prescription drug prices. I mean, is this the shit that we are really upset about? Or are we upset about Trump presiding over the largest set of political persecutions and political arrests since Janet Reno under Clinton? This isn't a real complaint. This isn't what people are pissed about. People are pissed that Trump won't do a goddamn thing. People are pissed that he's putting Israel first. This isn't real. This is some type of Jew shill. This is all just Jews. This isn't a real discussion. Social media is completely controlled now. And we're all black-pilled and stuff. Meanwhile, it's 2 years after the election where people shit posting online and posting memes to Twitter and stuff were critical, absolutely critical in the election. And now there's no sign of it anywhere left on Twitter. The Jews have completely censored us away from the normies. Look at this, and then constantly just comparing Hitler to Goebbels. You know, I have Goebbels' diary. I've got that over there. I mean, I'm gonna make an audio book of it. But this is just Nazis were evil. Trump's a Nazi. This is one side of it, and the other side is, oh, thank God Trump doesn't see race. Is the other side. And in the meantime, white people are getting fucked. Absolutely fucked. There's no place for white people to run to. They keep on every generation, or sometimes the family, 2-3 times before the kids are ready to go to college. They move. They do white flight. I know families here in California that have white flighted 3 friggin' times before it was time for their kids to graduate college. We're getting squeezed. None of the white people can afford to move to be around other white people. Right now, I talk to young white families around here in the Bay Area, up near Seattle, and I talk to them, and they say, we just want an affordable white area to go live in. And every single white person that doesn't admit that they want to live around other white people is a fucking liar. And you should discount anything they say. But that's all they want. The few young white people I've met in the Bay Area that are actually having kids, they just want a nice white place to go. But they're being hunted down and destroyed by these Jews, these 7,200 Jewish organizations that won't let our government close the borders, that won't let us have non-anti-white immigration policies, that won't let us even deport the goddamn illegal people that have come in. They're bringing in busloads, boatloads, plane loads of people from shithole countries and sticking them in the whitest areas in the middle of nowhere, wherever white people run to just be among themselves, wherever it's still affordable. The Jews are just making sure they just ship in a bunch of non-white people to just crush the hopes and dreams of that white family that spent the last of their minuscule amount of savings for their young family moving to that white area where they hoped and they dreamed there'd be just a chance that their children would get half of the happiness that they had when they were growing up. Just maybe half as good as a childhood as they had growing up in the 80s or 90s. And we're sick, and we're tired of having our hopes and our dreams crushed. We can't just allow what Trump did to be a pressure release. We can't just be a disillusioned white majority that was temporarily awakened to a Jewish-controlled opposition that was Trump, and then went back to sleep. This has to be something more. I'm that candidate. I'm that candidate. Unless there's another one better that comes around, I'm that candidate. I'm coming out and saying the things explicitly. Jews are behind open borders. Jews are behind the Frankfurt School destruction of our family unit. Jews are behind felons being allowed to vote from prison in many states now. Jews are behind white people being dispossessed. Jews are the reason no white people have affordable working class areas to raise their children anymore. Jews are the reason why white people are murdered and scalped on Facebook Lives and the people who do it walk free. Jews are the reason our homelands in Europe are being destroyed. Jews are the reasons why all of our money is being sucked off in foreign aid to Israel. Jews are the reason you know people in your neighborhood in your rural white community that are missing legs or eyes or have shrapnel in them, dying and getting maimed in wars to help expand Israel and destabilize Israel's regional competitors. Jews are the reasons for just about all of our problems, and I'm willing to say it. And white people, after seeing Trump take everything that he promised us and just stomp on it, and the White House lawn, just set our hopes and dreams on fire and stomp on it like a bag of flaming dog shit. Non-stop for the last 2 years, just him setting our hopes and dreams on fires and just stomping on it. It's time to vote for a guy, me or someone better, someone else that names the Jew, that's willing to say that Jews are the reason why you're suffering. Jews are the reason why you have friends, including 4 people I knew growing up that went to my high school, that have died from these fucking Jew poisons, these opiates, these Sackler opiates. Jews are the reasons why white people aren't allowed to get decent entry-level jobs in white-collar areas. Jews are the reason why people are being incited against whites and imported into white areas all around the world. Jews are the reason we're facing white genocide. Jews are the reason why our women think they're not supposed to be mothers. Jews are the reason why men won't commit to young women that are willing to have children. Jews are the reason why women don't act like women. Jews are the reason why kids want to chop off their own dicks because they're ashamed of being white men. Jews are the reason nobody knows history. Jews are the reason why Jews are the reason why people think that white people trying to have sovereignty is the most evil thing that could ever happen. Jews are the reason for everything bad in this world. And right now, Jews are using this country as a piggy bank. No, as a blood bank. And they're just sucking us dry, building up a technological empire where they've got their fingers in all the new technologies. They're building up and expanding Israel. It's going to be much bigger. They're not going to stop with the Golan Heights. They're going to keep on growing, and there's going to be nothing left of this country. And Israel will be a big, sprawling technological empire filled with nuclear weapons that they stole from us. And we're going to be here being hunted in the streets with the Jews, just like Ilya Ehrenberg, the Jew chief propagandist of the Red Army during World War II, that called for the rape and killing of all the whites that the Red Army came across. That's going to be happening here. Are you ready to be hunted in the streets? That shit is coming here. It's happening in South Africa, and it's Jews behind it. The Jews were behind the deaths of 50 to 60 million white people in Eastern Europe before World War II. Jews were behind the show trials after World War II. Jews from Lithuania that came in the 1920s are responsible for the ANC and the destruction of Rhodesia and South Africa. The Jew was named Slovo, who created the Communist Party in South Africa. Everywhere bad stuff is happening to white people, it's Jews, and nobody's willing to stand up and say it. And they say, oh no, he's talking about Jews, we can't vote for him, we have to go vote for a guy that we can meme into pretending he's talking about doing something about Jews. Well, I'm running, and I'm promising to do something about Jews. I'm promising to do something drastic to Israel. I'm promising to get our nuclear weapons back. I'm promising that no Jew will ever be allowed anywhere near an internet-connected microphone that could be used as media or propaganda in the West. I'm promising no Jew will ever be allowed near a teleprompter for the news media. That no Jew will ever again be allowed to poison the minds of our children with pornography and Frankfurt School-style indoctrinations and Marxist-style indoctrinations in our schools. I'm going to a community college right now, and all they teach in my school right now is anti-white horseshit. I'm taking a class in constitutional law. I'm taking a class in American government, and all we're learning is how to take guns away. How people that voted for Trump because they thought he was pro-white have low education. How white people are becoming violent because they're just inherently violent. We're learning all of this shit that has nothing to do with the source material. I haven't learned anything about the Constitution in my Constitution class. I've learned about police brutality and needing to reform the criminal system and making sure felons can vote. In my American government class, I haven't learned anything about how this government was set up, how it's supposed to run. I've learned how do we make this a perfect democracy? How do we make it so illegal aliens can vote? This is the shit being pushed down the throats of our children. And if you think you and your working spouse will be able to combat the indoctrination that the Jews make sure your children are being indoctrinated with in the public schools, you're out of your damn minds. Our children are being stolen from us under our very noses. They're being brainwashed to hate you. They're being brainwashed to believe that any white man who ever valued liberty was just some tyrant that wanted to just butcher non-whites. They're being taught all of this shit, all of this propaganda, and they will hate you. The 1 out of 10 of them will realize they're being lied to, 1 out of 10 of them will go on the internet and figure out what's really going on. But 9 out of 10 of our kids, if we don't do something, will hate us. They're going to believe the propaganda. They're going to believe the bullshit. They're going to be shown 50, 60, 70 movies about the Holocaust before they graduate high school. Meanwhile, not knowing anything about Jewish mass genocides against white people that have happened. Real ones, not fake ones like the fucking Holocaust. What are we going to do? Are you going to vote for me in 2020? Are you going to talk to your neighbor and tell them to vote for me in 2020? Are you going to put up a little 2020 yard sign in your front yard facing the road that other people take on their way to work? Are you going to be explicitly pro-white? Are you going to explicitly name the cause of all of the problems in our country, in Europe, and the cause of white genocide? Are you going to talk about Jews? Because if you put up a yard sign for me, you're going to wind up having to talk about Jews, and that's the public conversation that needs to happen. This shit that I'm showing you here on Twitter, this isn't a real conversation. This internet stuff is getting clamped down. It's only going to be a resource for people that are already woke, that'll know about back channels to find stuff that they want to learn more about. But in terms of outreach to normies, it's going to get harder and harder. We're running out of time. We're running out of time. It's going to look like South Africa real quick here if we leave these Jews in power. They're going to keep on inciting the races against each other. This thing that happened in New Zealand stinks. I smell Mossad all over it. I see a bunch more shit like this happening, and I see Jews finding useful idiots to do it, and I see white people being cornered and put into cages like fucking animals after they take our guns away, when they get enough useful idiots to carry out whatever they need to have carried out before public opinion of a then 65-70% non-white country is demanding that white people be disarmed. It is coming. It is coming. And thinking that you can run off to a cabin in the woods, thinking you can go to New Hampshire, thinking you can go to rural Washington, and that these Jews won't hunt you down and disarm you and take away your ability to sustain yourself in your isolation that you think you have there. There's no man is an island unto himself. When Jews take over a country, the first thing they do is they go out to rural places and take away whites' ability to survive on their own, to weather the storm. They make sure that the Jews make sure that the white farmers are killed or have their land taken from them, that their equipment is stripped from them. It happened in Ukraine. It happened in Russia. All of the Volga Germans that were excellent, self-sustaining farmers near the Volga River, the Jews had them all killed or shipped off to Siberia. If you think running to North Idaho, or running to the Pacific Northwest, or running to New Hampshire or Maine is going to buy you any safety, no. 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 Unless we're willing to achieve political power, unless we're able to get 50, 60, 70, 80% of white people voting for their own interests. As George Lincoln Rockwell said, if we can't convince white people to vote white with their ballot the way they vote with their feet when they do white flight, then there's no point. There's no point. Don't commit white flight. There are not going to be any more affordable places to run to. I was in northern Idaho, which used to be dirt cheap. So many white people from all over the West Coast are running there because it's one of the last white places that was affordable. And now the home prices there cost as much as they did in Southern California in the 90s. White flight will become economically impossible, especially in places like eastern Washington and northern Idaho, where there are some jobs, especially eastern Washington. You have to stand up. You have to put up that little 2020 yard sign. I don't have a Trump jet or a helicopter to fly around on. Yeah, I live on a boat. Yeah, I'm going to sell my boat to get an RV to live in, so I'll essentially be in a trailer traveling around the country for my campaign. But what other options do you have? We have to name the Jew. We have to make it the conversation piece. There are enough of us awake where they can't just dismiss us all as evil Hollywood caricature Nazis. We have the truth on our side, and we need to have the moral courage to talk about the truth. There are enough of us that know. And we need to make this the topic. We need to make anyone that talks about politics without talking about Jewish power look like a fool. Because nothing else matters in politics other than discussing the Jewish question. And I promise to talk about almost nothing else during my 2020 campaign. We have to talk about Jewish crimes against humanity. We have to talk about the fact that Jews are openly plotting genocide of many groups of people, including whites. We have to talk about all of the wars being started by Jews to advance Jewish interests. We have to talk about the fact the Iraq War, the planned invasion of Iran, if that's ever happening, World War I, World War II, these were all Jew-planned wars. They dragged us into these wars kicking and screaming. The Korean War was a meat grinder designed to get us to send a bunch of young white men off to die in the 1950s. Vietnam was a place to send our young men off to while the Jews threw a Frankfurt School-style cultural revolution here. All of the wars are done by Jews. All of these taxes that redistribute wealth away from the workers and towards illegal immigrants, this is all done by Jews. There was no explaining any of the issues that motivated people to vote for Trump in 2016 without talking about Jews. And it's time to connect the dots for the people that voted for Trump so that they no longer see some amorphous blob of unrelated issues that, the leftists are behind. They need to have a true picture of their enemy, and the racial enemy, the self-proclaimed racial enemy of all free peoples, of especially whites, are the Jews. They admit that we are their enemy. They admit that they want us extinct. They admit that they want the Palestinians gone. And when these Jews are openly declaring war on people after people after people, and we sit back and pretend that we're not allowed to talk about the fact that they're doing this, we're asking for the rope that we're going to be hung with. We're asking for them for them to tie the noose. That we're asking them to set up the box to kick out from under our feet. We're begging for death when we don't talk about Jews. We are begging for an end, like the whites are meeting in South Africa, like the Palestinians are meeting in Palestine, like the Syrians are meeting in the Golan Heights, which is almost completely ethnically cleansed of Syrians now. The Jews continue to get away with crime after crime after crime after genocide after war after war after war, and nobody says anything because everyone wants to call them leftists or globalists or communists. No, call them Jews. They will change to another thing. They'll change to another catchphrase. They'll change, God knows. Globalist is the current one. Before it was that, it was neocons. Before that, it was communists, and before that, it was aliens and racial aliens. That's how they used to refer to Jews. The point I'm making is, and I should wind this down before I get going on too much of a rant here, is that you have to vote for me in 2020. You have to be willing to talk about Jewish power. And if you put a little 2020 yard sign out, that's an invitation for your neighbor to come talk to you about Jewish power. Because talking about the reasons you voted for Trump didn't wake anyone up to the Jewish problem. Talking about the reasons you're voting for little, that will wake your neighbors up to the Jewish problem. Vote little in 2020. Put that yard sign out. And let's name the Jew and save our countries.